We're with Rachel, and she's a PhD associate professor at Harrisburg University, and you're in the biological science department, correct?
Yes.
Great. Well, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Harrisburg.
Yeah, I joined Harrisburg University in 2016. Primarily teach within integrative sciences and the bio realm. But I also I wear many hats. I also teach within our gen ed program as well as our online nursing program. But about 2 years or so ago, it might be 3 now, I lose track of time, we created a partnership with a nearby high school that had a greenhouse with a aquaponics system inside. And since that time, we've taken over the space and have made a lot of renovations over actually during the pandemic. It actually was a weird, unique opportunity where we didn't have people on site in any normal capacity. So we were able to complete some pretty major renovations and improvements to the space without really negatively impacting the hands-on component of what our students would be able to do when we return back to more normal functioning. So my newest hat is leading and coordinating our aquaponic initiatives, which entails everything from curriculum building out to establishing partnerships to seeking external research grants, and a lot of experiential learning, both with our undergraduate population as well as community members.
Okay. And Harrisburg is a leading STEM education university and experiential learning, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that? Like, our followers have heard of STEM, obviously, and we have STEM growers, but tell us a little bit about that history and just Harrisburg and their focus on STEM.
Yeah, so HU is a school of science and tech. We really have a strong focus on experiential learning. All of our students have to complete 2 research projects as well as an internship in order to meet their concentration requirements. So we really have a focus on developing competencies that will allow them to be more successful in transitioning to career paths. And with aquaponics, we've had several different types of research questions that have been quite interdisciplinary, which is probably one of the aspects of it that I enjoy the most. You can pretty easily see how biology or chemistry or environmental science would have a connection to aquaponics, but it might take a little bit of more innovative thought to see how computer science or advanced manufacturing could also play a role. And so we, aligning to HU's expectations of experiential, authentic, real world experiences, we've had some pretty diverse research questions that are bringing those different disciplines together to apply their knowledge, but in the realm of aquaponics.
Wow. Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I know there's a lot doing aquaponics and some are doing, hydroponics, and like robotics is a big, topic within STEM now. But how do you feel, again, aquaponics is just fits well with STEM education, whether at the, education, like high school age or, I guess non-university age. So from, elementary to high school to university, how do you feel like it's a fit?
So I think it's a really great fit, actually. I think that, we've had after school programming for all sorts of ages. We do summer camps with, obviously there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of layers of understanding, but you can break it down to, kind of basics and be able to catch a much younger generation and just get that interest kind of starting at an earlier point than what you might realize. Even in the virtual setting, this past year, we've done some online virtual offerings where we put together kit materials and we send out kits and we kind of lead activities that are getting younger age participants to begin to think about how they might be able to do really small scale systems at their homes. But then obviously, as you come up the ranks and you get to those more high school age and undergrad population, you can get into more of the details about the importance of those nutrient requirements and macro and micro and maintenance and just, all of the additional layers of complexity to really understand and troubleshoot the space.
And most of your students, when they step into your greenhouse, is it their first time ever hearing about aquaponics or being involved, or there's some that have experience? And just share about some of those experiences as a student steps in and they see fish and plants and, kind of that experience.
So it actually has run the gamut. We've had we have some relationships with some of the local cyber schools that actually contributed greatly to. We have another system as well, so I guess I should have focused on that initially. But we took over the greenhouse space. It's a 3,000 square foot space, but we also built a research lab on campus. So we have opportunities on site for our students as well. But we've had students rotate within the space that have never heard of even hydroponics or the understanding of that you could do anything beyond just traditional farming. And then we've had students in the space that are schooling some of our undergraduate interns with details about systems that they've built on their own at home.
Wow.
So it really has been quite dynamic and really just opens up your eyes that different people have different experiences and perspectives. And really, for me personally, realize that there's value in what those people coming in to do tours and people that are participating in those offerings, that they're taking different things away, and to make sure that the experiences that we're providing are diverse so that we're able to better capture those audiences.
Yeah. How do you feel like STEM is impacting just the next generation farmer?
So with Harrisburg, right, we're a city, we're a food desert. There's a lot of food insecurity. It's sad, especially exaggerated right now with the pandemic.
Wow.
But I think that this opportunity on site and some of the things that we have initiatives ongoing are raising awareness that there can be healthy food access and diverse crop species grown and available, so that everybody has the potential to have that level of security. So in a downtown setting, I think it's really it's seen. We do a whole lot of marketing and trying to raise awareness. We will be picking back up our CSA program. We do a whole lot of donations to our undergraduate population so that they see the impact of what hydroponics or aquaponics can provide.
Great. So you have a CSA program. Like, what do you do with the produce and the fish?
So right now, we
Sure.
have
or pre-pandemic or post. Yeah. What?
So the greenhouse is located at it's about 4 miles from campus on Steel and High Spire School District property, and they are generally a low SES school district. And so when we took over the space, we really donated back to them. So we established a collaborative effort even during early stages of the pandemic before the renovation started. But then they weren't actually able to take all of the food that we or the produce that we were able to put together. But we connected out to Susquehanna Township. They have a Hannah's Pantry. We connected with the Harrisburg Police and contributed to some of the food bank donations there. So pretty much we were donating, especially early stage pandemic, everything that we were producing. Prior to pandemic, we did a bit of a split. So we contributed some to kind of a CSA model, but we also would have a pop-up booth on campus and at Strawberry Square and sell as well to try to reduce some of the costs.
Do you have plans for the future when things are back up and running and students are in the greenhouse? What will you do with produce? And
so a bit of a mix. We will still have initiative behind the CSA and just benefiting the local community, but also very much interested in establishing some relationships with local breweries, local restaurants, in order to raise greater awareness in a broader community setting.
Yeah. Have you approached the university just in in purchasing produce from you guys?
Uh, Actually,
I'm
no,
just
that
curious.
hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. The university has entirely backed all of these renovations, all of the initiatives. Is really looking towards expansion with sustainable farming and agriculture practices in general. But it hasn't crossed my mind to go to administration. But our faculty and our staff, they're the first people at the pop-up booths,
Yes. Yeah.
so even though it might not be a university supported thing, it definitely is individual support from the institution.
Yeah, that's good. What type of advice do you have for other just educators that are either stepping into aquaponics in the classroom, or yeah, what advice do you have for them just in engaging students or in curriculum focuses or
So so right now we are building out curriculum. With that, I would say to not recreate the wheel. There's a lot of open educational resources out there to do some deep diving and vetting to see the quality of those resources that are available, and then modify them, tweak them as needed for your particular learning objectives and desired program outcomes. Um, as far as engagement, more hands-on the better. I
okay.
think more time in the system, developing those critical thinking, developing those troubleshooting, application type of scenarios, getting away a little bit from the theoreticals and doing more in the space, I think is really valuable for the student learning experience.
What are some things that students are doing that are applicable, like when they're in the growth space? What kind of things do they do just in either, in a classroom setting? What are they doing?
So everything.
Yeah.
So everything. Yeah. They so when we took over the greenhouse, it was actually in a state of failure, and it was the students that dived in, created a team, and they had leadership. They had the tech that we had at the time, as well as myself and one or two other faculty members, keeping them on track. But it was their initiative. They identified a strategic plan for steps that need to be taken in order to identify the problem, to then make improvements, to then get the system back up and cycling. So it's very much a student driven process. But our camps, our after school program, the way we build it out, they're participating in all aspects. They do water testing, they do plant propagation, they do seeding, they do transplanting, they do harvest. We've tried to culminate the ends of those experiences with some kind of a lunch, with harvesting something from the space. So that takes a bit of planning to make sure that we have the quantity of whatever we would need for the end of that particular time frame. But we've opened up that on some scenarios to the family members, so that it was making a little bit more impact, that the student wasn't just excited, but expanding it to their siblings or their parents, so that there was an eye-opening as to the long-term capabilities of aquaponics.
Yes. Yeah. What are some challenges you've had just in the growth space or in just your education?
So we
don't like to talk about failures, but I think, I saw an Instagram post of someone, last week, and they had all their 30 fish jumped out of their tank and they're all on the floor. And we've just all experienced something like that. And so I'm just curious that this is not necessarily failures, but just what challenges have you have?
So the greenhouse space has proven to be quite challenging over the last couple of years. Starting with taking it over when it was in a state of failure, but we didn't know that. It actually, somebody that had been in completing a tour must have either knocked over or dropped a cleaning sponge into the tank that was then captured in the pump. So the pump was on but not pumping, so we led to buildup, and fish all died, and so it was something that it was, and really that's where the students, we came back to scratch, right? We had plants still, but we had no fish. And so we had to work. We have a local network, and we had fish donation for when we were ready to get them back in. But it was a lot of troubleshooting, thinking about why the levels would have been what they were. And it was a non-traditional problem, but really provided a unique outlet for student critical thinking and application. So that's one. There's been others.
Right. Yeah. It's good for them to see that things happen. Yeah. Good for them to learn things happen. What excites you in just biological science and aquaponics? Like, how do you see they connect, and just what excites you about either ways you're involving students in biological testing, or just what excites you about the biology behind aquaponics?
So for me, I really just I appreciate the intricacy of the system and how everything feeds off of one another, right? And with having that circular nutrient economy, and it's just one small change impacts the entire system. So it takes patience. You can't have a level low and just dump in a bunch of product and hope that everything balances back out, but really being timely in those observations, and really just needing to have an understanding of how to approach that particular day and that problem. Outside of the biology aspect, I love the diversity of things ongoing in that space. I personally, I love gardening. I have 2 gardens here at the house. I love the plant aspect and the diversity of the crops that we're able to grow in the space. In the greenhouse, we've had, prior to HU taking over, but when we were still involved, there were cacao trees, banana trees, we've had fig, we've had some pretty cool kind of proof of concept for what's capable of being grown, which, during one of our camps, we actually had the first banana fruit. And so throughout the week, we could see just the layers and layers and layers. And, it's just some cool visuals that you don't necessarily get in every discipline.
Yeah, that's great.
I really keep coming back to just the interdisciplinary approach. We have interns in the space here now, just got approval. So throughout the pandemic, we've had one student maintain internship through the student union and one in the greenhouse space, but just recently got approval to begin expanding back numbers. But the students are involved in all aspects, the good, the bad, the dirty. I think the real just authentic experience that they're getting with the renovations that we are nearly done. I got pictures this morning. We're getting water back in.
Great. That's exciting. That's the fun part.
We are so close.
Great.
But the way that we've completed the renovations, we're going to actually be able to do side-by-side aquaponic, hydroponic comparisons.
Great.
So it's really opening up some high quality research questions that will provide our students an even more authentic application-based experience. So I think that we're on a good path, and we have hurdles, but as long as you troubleshoot, overcome the hurdles, then you're really giving back. So
yeah, no, it sounds great. Now, I love the STEM focus, the experiential learning focus of what you guys are doing. When you're not inspiring the next generation, what do you do to just that? What gives you life?
So for me, anything outside. I'm moderately obsessed with hiking and water. So anything, I kayak. I got a blow up paddleboard a year or 2 ago. So not great at it, but I have 2 pups. Really enjoy hiking and anything outdoors. Bonfires, gardening. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's great.
At school, I am my husband is a vegetable rights activist, so he does not eat vegetables.
Okay.
It's unique. So no, he doesn't eat anything green. He doesn't eat any vegetables. It's so weird. but he supports my garden obsession. So I normally plant in a quantity that is intended to give back to the community. So I donate a ton from my home personally. He's supports I have a little tiny aquaponics setup in the sunroom. It's currently decommissioned because of some time issues, but it just, I really enjoy giving back. So I do a whole lot of donations to the community, to HU, to students on campus, and I'm so looking forward to being back on campus so that we have that capability and interaction again.
Yeah. Well, thanks for meeting today. Really, we love your passion, and we love just what you're doing at Harrisburg and in the greenhouse with students. And we see that you're making an impact, and we hope that, I know it's challenging times with online learning, but we hope as soon as possible things can get back to the growth space, and we're thankful for what you do. So we need more of it, and keep doing it. In a few of our videos, we have talked about superpowers, and we talk about that as a team. And what that really means is just the unique contribution you bring to, one, the world, but also like to your growth space, to your students. What is your superpower?
So I actually spent a good bit of time thinking about this, because I'm like, I don't think I've ever had that question before. But what I came up with was, I think the combination of my passion and high energy. And that might seem like a weird combo, but I am entirely dedicated to our student experience and being able to provide those opportunities. But I go 150 miles an hour. So, it takes a special person, I think, to be able to wear the different hats that I wear, and still be able to connect and engage with those that are in the space. And definitely the students that have completed research that are currently in there as interns, we connect on a weekly basis, and, just to provide them that mentorship.